Welcome back to another Collectible Spotlight. I'm that Halloween movie collector, Pat. This week, we're going to take a look at stuff that I really, really love. I've loved for years. I do love to read, is the actual novelizations, physical novelizations of all the Halloween films. They've been going back, they've been doing this since the very first Halloween 1978. They didn't do Halloween novelizations for some of them, although some of them they did try, but it just never got to the point where they were able to get it done. Some have several different printings. Some have several different covers or updated and expanded editions. There's some from other countries. Well, all the stories are pretty much the same for the novelization part. Now, if you've read novelizations from movies, you'll know, most know, that within those novelizations, there's usually a lot more than you actually saw on the screen. And Halloween is no exception. If you go back and read right from the very first novel of Halloween, the backstory of why Michael is the way he is, his parents, him in the asylum, and then breaking out, and a lot of other things that towards the filler throughout the movie that aren't on the screen. Simply because when John Carpenter and Deborah Hill wrote that script, it wasn't a novel. They wrote that script specifically for screen. Eventually, it was Curtis Richards who penned the novelization and had to fill it up and fill up enough words to make a novelization out of it. So he gave it a little bit of a backstory of why Michael is the way he is. Go back and read it. I'm actually going to be doing, what I'm thinking about doing is a separate thing on this channel called What's the Difference, and compare the differences in the novelization of one of the Halloween movies versus what made it to screen and all the little differences in between. I thought that'd be a lot of fun. It's going to be a big undertaking, but the winter coming, it'll give me stuff to do inside because it's cold in northeastern Pennsylvania where I'm located. So with that being said, let's take a look at the Halloween novelizations. Back to my favorite movie of all time. First novelization of Halloween appeared in 1979. Like I said, author Curtis Richards was approached to do the novelization, and it was obviously after the movie was released and had to fill out an entire novel. So there's a backstory, there's some stuff at the asylum, and there's a lot of stuff in there. It's actually really cool. If you can get your hands on it. The novelizations are very expensive if you want to buy them now, which kind of sucks. But YouTube does have, I know they have the first two where you can listen like an audio book. So go check it out. So here, this is the first release of Halloween. Now note the cool cover. Nothing related to Michael Myers, because at the time, this Michael Myers wasn't like a cultural icon that they would have put him on the cover of this. So it's just basically, a jack-o'-lantern and a ghost. And on the back, it's the same thing. Tells you a little synopsis of it. And these, 1979, these are very collectible. If you don't have it in your collection, be prepared to pay. You're not going to get a decent copy of this for under $300, $400. Seriously, unfortunately. This is the second printing of the original Halloween novelization, where they just basically put the cover art from the movie on there. It's the same novel. Nothing's changed. Simply, it's just a second printing. Back is even actually the same. Sorry for the tape. I keep these in plastic. I should have took them out, but I'm going to have pictures up along the way if you haven't realized it already. So it's exactly the same content, just a different cover. This is also very collectible too. Not as hard to get as the first release, but you'll pay for this one as well. My second favorite movie in the franchise, not that this is a ranking video, but simply said, Halloween 2 has its own novelization as well, with some cool cover art. Why they didn't use the cover art from the original movie with the original jack-o'-lantern with the skull, I guess simply it probably comes down to licensing. Everything comes down to licensing. Who has to be paid? But this is actually a really good novel. It's got some other things in it that you don't see in the movie, just like most of them. Too much to go into in detail now. But these are reasonable. You can get these for a little over $100. They pop up a lot on eBay, and you can get one in decent condition. So it's not as expensive as the original Halloween novels, but good book nonetheless. Great movie. Next comes the misunderstood classic, The Black Sheep of the Family. And that is the novelization for Halloween 3. Now, I'm a Halloween 3 lover. I get it. It's ride or die with Myers. A lot of hardcore Halloween fans don't like this movie because there's no Michael in it, but I've come to love it. It's very nostalgic for me. Be sure to go back and check out my 3-part Halloween 3 40th anniversary retrospective. I'll throw some links up here for those videos where I went through all my collectibles in 3 separate videos and just my love of Halloween 3. And you'll see all the things I have, including the novels in there. So just a lot of fun. And this, if you do read the novelization, there is a lot more in here that Nigel Neal, who was the original person who was tapped to write the script for this, and it was very sci-fi, even more so than it to be on the screen. So there is a lot of that in here. So it's pretty cool. It's a fun read if you're a fan of the movie. Give it a shot. Stop hating it, especially with ends out there now. This is another Halloween 3 release. It's simply the same book. Nothing has changed. You only see this little thing here where it's now a feature film. This is basically the same book that was released in the UK. So it's simply just a UK printing, and it's got a different printer, and it's got the little thing because it's advertising that it's a major film now. So simply, I'm a collector, so I had to get it. It's exactly the same. Follow up to Halloween 3, which had nothing to do with the franchise. They went back to the original franchise, and Halloween 4 was born, the movie, and here is a novelization by Nicholas Grabowski. Now, this one gets a little interesting. There is, of course, a lot of stuff in this that's not in the original Halloween 4. One thing for sure is all the advertising material where they advertise this amazing original Myers mask, which was not the mask we were given in Halloween 4. They really screwed us up with that one. But this is a good book nonetheless. And the reason I'm telling you this is Halloween 4 is different in the respect that you're going to find out why. Because here's Halloween 4. Then several years later, Halloween 4, the special edition, which has a little bit more information, all from Nicholas Grabowski below here. And he put this together. It's got some cool pictures and stuff. It's a nice little updated companion to the paperback version. Then after that, he came out several years even later with the Ultimate Edition, which had some more information in it and some other Halloween stuff for tidbits. And this is simply just talking to Nicholas Grabowski. He was able to do this because he still retains the rights to it somehow. So he can put these out and not be worried about Trancas coming after him. How he did that, I don't know. That's a story I'd like to discuss with him someday. But so there was actually 3 versions of the Halloween 4 novelization. Now, for the other movies, for some reason, they did not release, some of the other movies, they didn't release novelizations for. Halloween 6, in talking to Nicholas Grabowski, he mentioned he was approached by Dan Farrens to write a novelization, but with all the bad blood over the Halloween 4 novelization with Trancas, however that worked out with him retaining the rights to it, they didn't want to have anything to do with him. So Halloween 6 does not have a novelization. Then H2O does not have a novelization. Resurrection does not have a novelization. Both Rob Zombie movies don't have novelizations. And then we skip ahead to 2018 because 2018 does have a novelization. So there you go. And I've read this one. Actually, I have the audiobook as well. I should have grabbed that too. I'll grab it and I'll show it to you as well. You can download the audiobooks like on Audible and other places, but I actually have a physical audiobook for this one right here. But there's a lot of other content in here. There's the original ending is in here. It's a fun read because 2018 is one of the better movies in my opinion. So, and it's worth reading the book. As promised, here is the Halloween 2018 audiobook. Now it's just basically like a DVD. It's actually an MP3 file download. So you can get these online in like Audible, iTunes, or a lot of places. You don't even need the physical, but I'm a physical media guy and I'm a physical media collector. So I do have this. I don't have Halloween Kills and Ends like this yet. I do have to get them. So that is on my next, that's on my list. And in keeping with the David Gordon Green trilogy, you have the Halloween Kills novelization. Now, this, admittedly, I haven't had a chance to read this yet. I got to get around to it. All the other ones up to 2018 I've read. This one I have to read. I just haven't had a minute to do it yet. So, because I'm very curious to see what other stuff appears. Sorry about the tape. Like I said, it's in plastic, but I will have pictures just curious to see what other stuff in here because I have not read this yet. But nonetheless, it's essential to put in your collection to have. And of course, we can end, as they just did, the David Gordon Green trilogy with the novelization of Halloween Ends. And same thing here. I have not had a moment to read this. Majority of these I do on audiobook. I put them, listen to them in my car when I'm commuting back and forth to work. So very few of them are actually print reads, except for some of the older ones, which are there's no audiobook for, and I had to read them. But like I said, 1 and 2 is on YouTube. So go look them up. So I'm looking forward to reading this and seeing what other stuff is in here. This movie I know is extremely divisive. It's really split the franchise in half. Those on the side think that it's a misunderstood classic masterpiece, and some just think it's complete dumpster fire, and this is not the place for it. I don't even want to go down that road. If you want to hear some of my thoughts, here's a link to the Halloween Collectors podcast where we did our review of Halloween Ends. Go check it out. It gets a little crazy at times because Halloween fans are just very obsessive about Halloween. So yeah, be sure to get all 3 of those books because it's good to keep them together in a trilogy. I'm hoping they come out with like a nice little box set, like a slip cover to put those 3 in. That would be kind of cool. Just something cool to collect. And the other books that I do have, there's 3 other books I have that are the German releases. Yes, the novelization was released in Germany. Different cover art, and admittedly, I can't read these to see if they're any different. I don't see why they would have any different content in them. My son does speak German. I should have him read them and say, hey, is there anything different in these? But they're all by their respective authors, so I don't see why anything would have changed at all. So with that being said, this is the German novelization of Halloween with some pretty weird, like futuristic artwork on the front. Why that was chosen, I don't know. It's pretty blank on the back. Here's the spine. Very cool. Of course, I'm a collector. I'm a completist, so I had to have that. So there's your Halloween German paperback. This is the Halloween 2 German release of the paperback. And there they went with the classic skull pumpkin from Halloween 2. Back is pretty much plain. And that's it. And under the assumption there's not anything different in this versus the US release. And here is Halloween 3, where they actually used the Halloween 3 images to put on the cover. Back is pretty much playing the same. So very, very cool. I don't know if they have any of the other books printed in German because I've never seen them. If anybody does have them or know of them, Halloween 4, it would be the other one. And I guess the trilogy, the David Gordon Green trilogy, 2018 Kills and Ends, if they were printed in Germany, let me know. I have to do a little research on it. If I do find them, I'll have to do an updated video. But I'd be curious. I should have looked that up before I even did this. But I haven't seen them, and usually I see stuff like that pop up. So if anybody knows, by all means, hit me up in the comments below. So those are the novelizations of Halloween that I have in my collection. Those are all the ones that exist, outside of maybe some prints, like I said, in different countries that I've never seen before. But they're all very cool. They're all very collectible. Some of them are extremely expensive. If you can find them, always be wary if you go into used bookstores, because that's where I found a lot of the Halloween, the first 2 releases and Halloween 2. A lot of them were found in used bookstores at the time, and they weren't collectible. Back then, you can get them for like $1. They were very, very cheap. I'll tell you a story. On the first Halloween, I saw it in a collectible bookstore in the Jersey Shore that my family goes to every year, and I had no idea that there was a novelization of the movie. I had no idea because this was back in the early 80s before days of social media, so I didn't research all this stuff. I had no clue. And I pick it up, and I'm like, wow, this is the movie. So bought it, took it home, read it, and lo and behold, it was the novelization of the movie. I had no idea. So, of course, I was always on the lookout to see if Halloween 2 had one, Halloween 3, and they did. And little by little, I found them, and Halloween 4, and then so on. I did a video. There are 3 other books that aren't novelizations, but they're storybooks based on Halloween. There were 3 released in the late 90s by an author named Kelly O'Rourke. These are them. I'm not going to go crazy because I actually did do a collectible spotlight on these already. So you have the Madhouse. you have the old Myers Place, and you have the Scream Factory. I'm going to throw a link up here. I did do a review of these already. Now, these flew under the radar at the time. I got them after the fact, before they spiked in price, because once people realized about these things are not cheap either. People selling them for well over $200 a piece. And there's none. I've looked on YouTube and see if anybody did an audio version of them too. I've read them, and they all have great stories. Now, if they ever did a Halloween anthology TV series, something along the lines of Creepshow or Chucky, that would be fantastic. They could easily pull from these stories, and I don't think she'd have any problem with that. She'd get a couple bucks. They're good stories. It'd be great to just do something like that. But I figured I'd just mention them if you weren't aware of them. I'll have that link up there, like I said. Go check it out. Pretty cool, great artwork, and some fun stories too. They're very tame and timid, because the time when if you read interviews with her, she was approached to do those in the style of like Goosebumps and stuff like that, because it wouldn't be so. There's a broader market for younger adults. It was supposed to be more of a young adult book. So they're not graphic and not too crazy, and they're not raunchy. But they're still a fun read. And if you can find them for a decent price, go get them, because they're very, very expensive. Always, when you're in used bookstores, always look around for certain things. You never know what you could find, or even flea markets and thrift shops. Just always be wary of what you can find, because I've gotten some good deals finding some Halloween stuff in places like that. So here we are, done with another collectible spotlight. Novelizations. If you don't have them, go get them. Go read them. They're a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm looking forward to some point getting some time together to do my series on the novelizations, comparing what the difference is between the novelizations and the screen to the script it actually is. You see anything else around me or on my Instagram page, which is at that Halloween movie collector, that you'd like to see a collectible spotlight on, anything, just hit me up. I have no problem with it. I love doing this stuff. Just hit me up in the comments, hit me up on Instagram. Be sure to like this video. Like button's right around there. It helps people find this channel. The YouTube algorithms help people find, all the Halloween content. And I'm a Halloween geek, and all you Halloween geeks out there, thanks for tuning in and watching. Every Sunday, I do the Halloween Collectors Podcast over on the Michael's Horror and Pinball channel at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We do it live with my good buddies, Brett and Michael, and we just have a lot of fun talking about the movies, collectibles, horror movies, music, have a couple of beers, make some jokes, chat with everybody in the chat room, and see what trouble we can get in. So go, be sure to check it out. There's a Facebook group for the podcast. All the socials are below me right here. Go check that out. Be sure to interact and let us know if there's things you'd like to see on the podcast. And if you'd like to come on and be a special guest collector or something, we have a lot of collectors that come on and show up their collections. Hit me up. Would love to have you on and see what you have. And also, while you're in Facebook land, I do have the Halloween and Michael Myers Collectors Group for all you collectors out there. People post their collections, Halloween information, just anything in general. It's all Halloween related content and nothing else. And a great group of people, good community of people. Be sure to join that. We also have the Halloween Collectors Podcast, which is now on Twitter. So be sure to go check that out on Twitter. And there's also that Halloween Movie Collector on Twitter. All the socials are below me here, and I hope you'll check them out and just find some cool content and interact with myself and my buddies over on the podcast. And just, if you love Halloween, you love horror, you love collectibles, this is the place to be. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this look at the Halloween novelizations. Some you may have in your collection, some you may know that are out there that you're looking for, and maybe if you didn't know that some of these existed, I hope I helped you out and maybe add them to your collection. If there's other ones I missed, by all means let me know, because these are the definitive ones that I know exist. Only ones, like I mentioned before, if there's ones from other countries that I missed, please let me know below, because I need to find them, because I've never seen them, and I do a lot of the research, but these are all the official novelizations that are out there. So I hope you enjoyed checking them out. Be on the lookout. I'll let everybody know if I do get the time to do the novelization difference to the movies, and that'll be a lot of fun, and maybe I'll bring in some special guests on that one. So with that being said, come back for another collectible spotlight, another co-collector spotlight, and some other content on here. Hit that like button, help a brother out, don't cost nothing. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and I will talk to you